My friends, welcome to our midweek devotion. It is the 22nd of January. This is one of those days, huh? I mean, first off, let's get out of the way. I recognize the injustice. I read this morning that Spanish fort, that's like pretty close to where the USS Alabama is, if that gives you any idea, down Interstate 10. You can see Mobile Bay right there. That's like what? That's Gulf of America. That's Gulf of Mexico water. Like that's right there. That counts as the ocean bay. And they got 8 inches of snow. And what did you and I get to go to school today? I mean, that is. I have registered my complaint with the Lord. He told me, so what? Get over it. So we move on. But yes, it is very cold outside. Yes, this is one of those days for adventure. I rode the motorcycle. This morning it was 13 degrees when I left the house, and that means I did the calculation, the little calculator thing, at the speed you travel on the road, and the temperature, it was negative 14. That's what it felt like, and let me just tell you, that's it. That you don't ride a motorcycle with the gear I own anyway at 13 degrees. You just don't do it. The visor literally started to ice up the way your windshield does when you first get in it in the morning. It was just like icing up. I could see it growing towards my field of vision. Woo-wee, but I made it. But guess what? The motorcycle wouldn't start when it was time to leave Grace Christian and come up here and get things started. So the motorcycle is on display currently at the Grace Christian School parking lot. And I just got off the telephone with my parents because they're in Columbus. Had a doctor visit, stopped off, check out some things in Hobby Lobby, come back outside. Car doesn't start. Papa got a brand new car jump start box thing like we have in the church van. He got one of those for Christmas, except we put it in the car and we didn't charge it up first. So maybe it doesn't have enough juice I don't know. But doing some remote support over the phone, like FaceTiming, that it wasn't working. Luckily they have AAA. They'll be saved. They'll be rescued and redeemed. That happens. Get here. It's a little cold upstairs in this recording studio. Turn the heater on, everything's fine. Turn this app on, and I've made this complaint before. It says it needs to update. That makes me mega nervous. So I did verify. I can see the little thing moving there. You're hearing me. Whether my voice is lined up with the video that you see, I don't know. I actually won't know that until I get done and I check all this out. So this video may be all different kinds of jank, but you know what? It's a good day. Every day is a good day. The Lord is good, and I'm glad to be here with you and to have a chance just to share a thought with you. It's from a the book of Acts has been studied like all of the scriptures so very thoroughly, and yet there's just always a chance to behold things that are really good, inspiring reminders of either I didn't know that was there or I forgot that was there. And so I'd like to give us some context of a little passage in chapter 17 of Acts this evening. But beforehand, let me just encourage you to be aware as a church or in the community, our Embrace Grace semester, our latest Embrace Grace semester is about to kick itself off in February. And so I encourage you, if you're aware of any young mothers who have an unexpected pregnancy, single moms who have this is something that's happened and they need some support, they need some help, please encourage them to call us. Point them our direction here at East Louisville. Our phone number is 662-773-3683. They can be a part of this. It's no cost to them. We want to speak love into them. We want to celebrate the life that they've been entrusted in caring for as a mother, but we very importantly want them to know what it means to be a child of God, to be a princess of the King of Kings, and to live the life that He created for them to live. So if you know someone, or if you have questions about Embrace Grace or how that works, or maybe you're seeing this and you'd like to support it in some way with leadership or attendance, just as a moral support or however, give the church a call. I'd be happy to share with you everything that we know, everything that we do. I love to tell that story. And in fact, shout out to our local radio station. They have that community section where you can run ads, and so Mayor Will Hill lets me record them here with this stuff, and then I just send them to him and he runs it for me. So if you hear that on the radio this time, I added the music this time on my own. I'm trying to learn that, so whew. I don't know, whatever. It's cold, so you get goobery when it's cold. No, it's fine. I love the cold. I just really like it when it snows and you don't have to go to school. That's what I really like. Anyway, you and I both, as citizens of this country, were very aware what took place on Monday. It was Martin Luther King Day, so many folks maybe had the day off, but more importantly, for some, certainly the inauguration of the 47th President of the United States. And so as President Joe Biden left the White House for the last time, and I don't mean this in any way ugly, but left politics likely for the rest of his life, President Trump, stepped into the White House for the second time, where he will remain for the next 4 years. And may God protect all of the leaders in government, but especially our president, and guide him with wisdom and encourage him in the direction that our country should go. And many people have shared. There's like this sea change, this shift in attitude, and for some it's fantastic. And I love the renewed interest, it seems, in faith, in the Bible, in asking questions and being willing to hear answers, being able to give the same amount of time and attention to answers that sometimes you want to ignore, answers that may disagree with your worldview or disagree with your presupposition, but answers that are true, that you need to hear. And yes, I think that our society is better for DEI offices being closed, and that we let merit rule the day. And instead of saying that merit keeps people down, we see those who struggle and we seek to bring them up to that meritorious place. I don't like lowering the bar. I think the bar should remain, and we should strive, all of us together. And I think the church is being given a chance. In fact, I was asked by someone, what does an increase in Bible sales, does it mean anything for church attendance? Does it mean anything for participation in the body? And I told that person, I said, it's hard to know. I don't really know a context for it happening like this. And it isn't just, the Bible's always been the top-selling book, I think, since books have been printed, to be honest, or at least since they've been tracking that kind of stuff. That isn't the unique part of Bibles increasing in sales almost 25% last year. It's that it went opposite of the trend. So book sales as a whole go down, but the sale of Bibles goes the other direction. That seems to suggest something, but what and how the church responds, most importantly, kind of going to be up in the air for a while. And the truth is, sometimes we just like to pick one another apart. But tonight, I just want to suggest to you that we need to use this time, maybe you feel some encouragement, some excitement, some renewed interest in how things are about to be going or how they are already going, that you not feel that excitement and entrust it to others, but that you realize you are the mover and the shaker. You are the body of Jesus Christ. It's you who can make those changes because of the mission God has appointed to you in your context, in your community, in your church. And I want you to see that in a story that happens in Acts when Paul and Silas have made their way to a city called Thessalonica. Now, if you know your books of the New Testament, you know that there is a first and a second Thessalonians. And Thessalonians, the books, the letters really, are written to the church, all of the believers in the city of Thessalonica. So in Acts chapter 17, this is when we see Paul going to that location. And early in the chapter, it tells us that Paul, as was his custom, Luke records for us that for three Sabbaths. Now, does that mean 3 Sabbaths? Now, that would have been a Saturday, right? 3 Sabbaths in a row. So 3 weeks in a row, or does it mean just 3 weeks over a period of a larger amount of time? The assumption is it's 3 Sabbaths in a row, but I don't know that that's even necessary to fuss over. But Luke tells us that for 3 Sabbaths, Paul went into the synagogue and taught. He taught the Jews about Jesus, professing that the Christ that they know and have heard, all of what went on in Galilee and Judea, that man crucified and resurrected, that is who they've been looking for. That is the Messiah. That is the rock on which all of us stand. And he's teaching this. Some of the people hearing him accept that truth. They join into what we would call the Christian church. They believe. They bring others with them. But there's, as always, A group of people who don't want to hear that, who don't want to believe that, don't want that to be the way it is. Paul and Silas, as they are teaching, they're staying at a house of a man named Jason. And when the people who don't want Paul and Silas there, who don't want those lessons taught, they don't, it's the opposite of my faith is private and my understanding of Jesus is just something, that works for me and that I keep to myself. It isn't that, it's the opposite. Paul is very open, very vocal, very, very audacious even, we might argue, in his presentation of, no, this is the way, the truth. This is how you find the faith through the gift of the Spirit. This is what you should be doing. He's very in your face. The people who don't want to hear that, they go hunting him. They go looking for him. They try to basically find him so that they can either turn him over, and Silas as well, turn them both over to the law, or run them out of town. And the verse I want to share with you tonight is from chapter 17, verse 6. Now, I openly say there's context removed, and what I mean by that is I know that you can see this. That's not a period. It says also and then semicolon. That's not a period. What happens afterwards of this statement is that Jason is made to pay a bond, like he has to pay his way out of jail. He goes home, and then in the evening they kind of get Paul and Silas out because they realize Paul and Silas are being hunted. But chapter 17, verse 6 tells us this. It's when those are the Jews that don't want to hear this, that don't want this taught in Thessalonica, when they did not find them, Paul and Silas, in Jason's house, they began dragging Jason and some brethren, some other believers, before the city authorities. But notice what they say. These men who have upset the world have come here also. We're supposed to be upsetting the world. Now, upset doesn't necessarily mean a negative, to turn over. We are shaking the foundations of understanding by professing the truth of Jesus Christ. We are upsetting the norm when the norm has become sin's acceptance and sin's celebration. We're upsetting that norm because of the truth of Jesus, because of the power of the resurrection and the absolute life-altering power of the gospel. We are world upsetters. And these people recognize that of Paul and Silas, and even, you might say, of Jason and the others. These men who have upset the world. Is that something that could be applied to the way you live as a faithful believer? That you're willing to upset the world or upset the situation? When I was younger, I'm not. Look at this. This looks way more like my dad's beard. So, I don't even want to really say it out loud, but in July of this year, I turned 47. And I told my wife last night, we are almost 50 years old. That is a frightening thought. I mean, whatever, it is what it is. But I'm not a young man. But when I was younger, in school, we were taught a great deal. I don't know if it's still done today. In the public setting in Memphis, Tennessee, we're taught a great deal about something called peer pressure and self-esteem. But peer pressure, the pressure on of the world around you to impact or even infect the decisions you make and the actions that you take in your daily life. Christians struggle with that same issue all the time because we're human. But instead of upsetting the world with our adherence to the truth, with our upholding of what Jesus instructed, is it possible that instead we are overcome by peer pressure and we back off of that? And thus is given rise to sayings like, you don't discuss religion and politics with family, or what you believe is good for you, but you don't need to share it with others, or religion is a private thing that you shouldn't question what someone else believes. All these things that are real fancy ways of shutting down your acceptance of Jesus' instruction to share the things I've told you, teach the things I have taught you, talk to others about what I have talked to you about. Like, that's world upsetting. The New Testament tells us that the gospel is offensive to the people who don't understand it. That's upsetting. That turns things over. That's an upset, upside down sort of situation. And I just love right there, this little tiny moment. It's never brought up. The story keeps going because there they go, Paul and Silas, on to another spot. But here in this moment, just the recognition that these men, these disciples, these followers of the way, the Jews say those men that have upset the world, now they're here. It was like they knew something was coming that couldn't be stopped. And I want to be a part of that in 2025 in the United States of America, on the earth as it is now, a thing that cannot be stopped, a thing that has no pause. It doesn't have, back in the day we would say there is no chill. It just keeps moving forward, this world upsetting truth that God is the Redeemer who has redeemed his creation, and you only must believe, put your faith in the Christ, accept his gift, be transformed by the power of the Spirit, live in faith. You're set free. I want to be a part of this, and I see there is this excitement, this undercurrent of excitement. Then let's ride it, and let's not let it die. Let's let it infect us. The church be the church in the community. Yes, safe in the walls where it's warm, but also out in the cold when necessary, loving people, helping people, serving people, so that we can have the chance not only to tell them the truth of the gospel, but to have them see it lived out in each and every one of us, in Louisville, Noxapater, Winston County, all over the world. I want that to be all of us, and so I hope and pray that that would be you. So I'm going to put that back up, and then I'm going to make myself, watch this, boop, disappear. And I just want you to look at that for a second, and I'm going to pray. But these men who have upset the world, he redeemed the world through the cross, if only we would accept it. Can we not just commit ourselves to upsetting the world with that truth? Let's pray. Father, Almighty God, thank you for making us the upsetters by giving us the truth. I pray you would allow us the burning desire within, that ache in our bones, as Jeremiah mentioned, that we would not be at peace unless we were fully surrendered to sharing the truth, living the truth, and accepting our role in overturning this broken status quo that has been put on display, that we could set the captive free with the truth of Jesus Christ, that all things might be conformed into your image, and that we would be able to testify of your goodness, and that in doing so the world would be turned upside down, that heaven would have its population increased because of the souls that would turn to you. Jesus, be known as Lord, I pray, in our lives and the lives of all people, that peace would reign. This is what I ask, this is what I hope for, and I am asking to be a part of your mission, along with all others who would join me. And I ask that in accordance with your will, I know it, and in your holy name, amen. Thank you all for being here. It's freezing out there, isn't it? But soon enough it will warm up, and as it does, I hope you'll be just as thankful for one type of weather as the other, except that we didn't get snow this time. That you go out in the world and remember the greatest and most important thing that I think you can take with you, and that's that your calling, your mission is to show kindness to everyone around you, and to do that all because of the kindness Jesus has shown you. I love you. Thank you for spending these minutes with me. I pray God blesses you for the rest of this week. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.